Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and my movie review series. Today we'll be discussing an American classic, Jaws. So I just finished watching it, kind of slim pickings on movies. I got Hulu Plus, or Hulu and Disney right now. Probably jump over to something different next month. As like I said, I wanted to review the National Treasure. There's not much on Disney Plus I like, and pretty much burnt through all of the stuff I like on Hulu. So today we're going to be discussing Jaws. You know the drill. I'll be giving you my overall impressions and grade. If you have not seen the movie and would like to based off the brief logistics I give you and my overall thoughts, you're going to shut off the video because there will be spoiler alerts. We will be discussing the plot synopsis and any character development, along with any similar movies and major themes. So obviously extremely widely well known. Jaws was rated PG. I was kind of surprised. It's got some gore in it. But rated PG, released in 1975, so going on, 48 years then, give or take. It's an adventure/thriller, and it has a runtime of 2 hours and 10 minutes. Google says it's ominous, vicious, and thrilling. It says, when a young woman is killed by a shark while skinny dipping near the New England tourist town of Amity Island, Police Chief Martin Brody, played by Roy Scheider, wants to close the beaches. But Mayor Larry Vaughn, played by Murray Hamilton, overrules him, fearing that the loss of tourist revenue will cripple the town. Ichthyologist Matt Hooper, I messed up that word, I don't know what that is. Ichthyologist Matt Hooper, played by Richard Dreyfuss, and grizzled ship captain Quint, played by Robert Shaw, offer to help Brody capture and kill the killer beast, and the trio engage in an epic battle of man versus nature. Had a budget of $7 to $9 million. Directed by Steven Spielberg. Obviously extremely well known. 84% liked it on Google, 5 out of 5 on Common Sense, 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb. Might be the highest rated movie we reviewed. What did I think? Again, obvious classic. I like and obviously it's aged, I wanted to see how well it held up for being almost 50 years old. Certainly this movie was one of the quintessential tension building musical scores with just like, I don't know if it's a violin or a cello or whatever, but just a dun 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 dun. So everybody knows that. So obviously a big cultural classic. I just like the overall subject matter of just, beasts in the ocean, because, you take out the human emotion in something and just nature's trying to survive. So I like animals. So overall, I'm going to give it a solid B. There was some screaming in it, and it is almost 50 years old, but certainly a widely known classic. If you have not seen this one, you should definitely check it out. And if you have seen it and you want to watch a breakdown, throwback, reminisce, whatever, we will be discussing the plot now. So the movie opens up. I guess the setting is they said New England, but it seemed like it was New York. But I don't know, somewhere in the Northeast America, present day to 1975. And there's a bunch of teenagers sitting around, drinking, smoking, playing some guitar around a campfire on the beach. And so, pretty intoxicated guy and girl, she goes skinny dipping. Again, there's no real nudity. You might get some side boob, which is pretty impressive for PG. But she goes in the water, and the guy is like too drunk, and he basically passes out on the beach. And so the morning rolls around. You meet Police Chief Martin Brody. He's married to Ellen Brody. They have a son, Sean Brody, and another son as well. I just wrote one down. They're pretty much minor characters, regardless. But they're living there. He's new to the town. He's not from there, and he is the police chief. With Lowe, he only has one other assistant or deputy. And somebody finds the body, and he investigates it, and he says it's the cause of death was most likely a shark attack. So then you meet the Mayor Larry and a couple other kind of political type of people. And they're going to have a person look at it or something, blah, blah, blah. And so they change the cause of death to to probably a boating accident. And Martin Brody calls in the ichthyologist or whatever, who ends up being the Matt Hooper character. I'm not going to try to say that word, I keep messing it up. He comes in a little later, so they just change the cause of death on the first girl. Then the next day they go out there, and a bunch of families out on the beach, and a little kid wants to play in the water for a little longer time, and so his mom lets him. He goes out there, and he is also eaten up pretty quickly. So now everyone's rushed off out of the water onto the beach. Matt Hooper arrives on scene, and he examines the the first victim's body. It's like, yeah, this is definitely a shark attack and not a boating accident. And he also gets some like measurements on the bite radius of the animal. And so Martin now really wants to shut down the beaches. He has, he tries to go to this local store or painting store and, make signs. And Mayor Larry is debating what to do because 4th of July is coming up and that's their big tourist time. And so they decide to allow after a while in some debate, they decide to allow the beaches to stay open for 4th of July. So Martin's seriously against it. And 4th of July rolls around and no one's really going in the water. And so Mayor Larry goes up to some of the people he knows personally and is like, hey man, go in the water so other people will and everyone have a good time. And so Mayor Larry's friend goes in the water, the whole family goes in there. They're swimming, having a good time, and they see a dorsal fin and everyone's blowing whistles, some chaos, some frantic movement to get out of the water, and they have a bunch of police boats and just different people helping out with guns and whatnot. And it's 2 young kids with a dorsal fin on the back, just playing a prank on the beachgoers. So they pull them out of the water. There's no death there, but then there's that was the main beach, and then over on this bay area or just a different inlet to the coastline. Martin's son, either Sean or the other one, is in a boat with his friends, and so they rush over there to get him out of the water, and they see the actual Jaws coming in to attack them or to attack another beachgoer. And so the Jaws hits again. There's a dude in his little rinky-dink boat, knocks him out of his boat and eats him up. And so they're able to save the Sean Brody, or the other son, and he's in shock. And so he goes to the hospital, and he just gets examined, and he's okay, but he's just, a traumatic event, going through some shock. And so now you're about halfway through the movie. They decide that they need to kill Jaws. And so previously after the second death, they had again a town meeting where Martin gets confronted by the mother of the son who died, as well as Quint, who's kind of like this raggedy seafaring dude that has experience hunting sharks. And so he's like, they offer a $3,000 reward. And I guess before this, they do have a fishing expedition where they do kill one shark, and then Matt Hooper's like, the bite radius is not the same. Martin and Matt, drink a little bit, and then they go out on the ocean at the night times. That's when the Jaws hunts. And so they'd cut open, local fishermen had caught a different shark. They cut open the stomachs and realized that there was no human remains in there at all. And I guess sharks have slow digestive tracts. And so they were absolutely convinced that they have not got the right animal. And so they go back out onto the water at nighttime. And if they see this other boat, they're trying to look for Jaws. They can't find him. And then something else comes up on sonar or radar or whatever. And it's just an abandoned boat. And so Matt goes into the water. And I guess this is probably even before the 4th of July. But he goes into the water, and there's a big chunk of the boat gone from the hull. He pulls off a tooth, and it's a great white tooth. And then a decapitated head floats by him in the water, degrading and looking all swollen and purple and blue. And so he's kind of startled, and he drops the shark tooth. So he gets back on the boat, and then and then he's trying to say, Mayor Larry, there's definitely a great white out there. Mayor Larry's like, where's the tooth? And he had dropped it in the ocean when he saw the floating head. And so now, fast forward, Martin, Matt, and Quint are going to go out on Quint's boat and hunt the Jaws. And so, again, Martin's the police chief, Matt's like the scientist, and Quint's just like the seafaring dude. And so they go out there on Quint's boat. They chum up the waters. They're able to attract the Jaws pretty quickly, and then they shoot him in the dorsal fin with just trailing wire with a big barrel attached to it. So a giant buoy, just a way to track Jaws by having something float that's tagged to his skin. And so they tag him at first. He's able to kind of I think he chews away. He's able to eat away the rope for at least one of these barrels. And so they know that Jaws is in the area. The first day passes, and it's it's an older shipping fishing ship. So there's a little like deck and little area to sit and eat and whatever. And so they're sitting down there. They're all getting a little drunk. They share their different scars from doing different things. They start singing a song, just enjoying the ocean, waiting for the sunlight. And then the Jaws starts to like break into the hull of the ship. And so the next day rolls around, they're taking on some water, but the ship is still functional. And kind of the same type of sequences where they're just trying to track down these barrels. They tag Jaws a couple more times with these different other barrels. They end up getting 3 on them at once. And so now they're trying to head back into shore. The boat is taking on water, and Quint basically burns up the engine burns up and the ball bearings break or whatever. And so the ship is now not functional. They're taking on water. Kind of like the last thing Matt wants to do is they have a shark cage, and he wants to jump into the water and try to poison it by injecting some chemical into the shark's mouth. Martin doesn't want him to do that because obviously it's a big shark. But regardless, he jumps into the water. He goes in this metal cage. The Jaws attacks him. He kind of disappears for a little bit and then hits the cage from a different side, and Matt drops this poison dart javelin looking object. And so the Jaws is violently attacking the shark cage now, and basically rips apart the bars, and it gets infatuated or caught up with the cage, and Matt is able to swim down. He's got snorkel gear and air compression tank, and so he's able to swim down and hide behind some coral reef. And so the shark is attacking the cage. Martin and Quint reel up the cage and see the cage is empty, and they presume he's dead. And so Martin's shooting the Jaws with his pistol a couple times. Quint's trying to stab it or just kill the shark. And so the boat is now taking on serious amounts of water, and the Jaws kind of hops up onto swims up onto the deck of the boat. And both Martin and Quint are trying to hold on. Quint is unsuccessful, and he falls, and he slowly gets eaten by the Jaws. So that was one of the scenes where that's kind of shocking to see just as a PG-rated movie. But again, this was 1975, so maybe a little more lenient on the gore. And again, it's animal violence, not human-on-human violence, I guess. Might make it a little different. Regardless, Quint gets eaten, and so the Jaws has again these 3 big barrels that are stuck to its fins or its body. And so the ship's going down. Martin had thrown an air compression tank into its mouth, and earlier Matt had said, if you're not careful with these tanks, they will explode. So Martin has a rifle, and the Jaws is coming at him. Literally, the entire ship's about to be submerged besides him on the mast, and fires a couple rifle rounds, and then he says, I forget what the line exactly was, it's smile, you son of a bitch, and then he's able to shoot the compression tank, and it explodes in his mouth and blows the head off of the shark. Shark guts raining everywhere, and big relief from the tension of the movie. Certainly for the first time you watch it, obvious cultural classic. And so Matt is able to swim back up with the snorkel gear, and Martin and him are able to make a makeshift raft with a couple of these barrels and some plywood or some wood from the ship. They're able to swim back into shore. So that is the resolution to the movie. There was I think at least 3 more different Jawses. I don't know if I'll follow through with them. I just wanted to see how the original one held up for being such a well-known and popular movie here in America. So overall, I still found it entertaining. A couple screaming scenes, some insecurity and the characterizations, but overall the acting and the writing script held up for me for the most part. So overall, I found it entertaining. And if you're at this point in the movie, you're just watching for a refresher, you've already seen it. So thank you for watching another movie review, and I will see you on the next one.